Tanzania really has an impressive system for legal service provision. What is important for us to look at is how do we ensure that we start looking internally on how to sustain those systems. Ya kwanza ni wapongeze the paralegals that are here because utafiti from the government is saying that the largest proportion of legal aid service provision is provided by these paralegals. So if they are the ones who are giving the most of services, and I would like to understand eventually, maybe by asking a question to Mkurugenzi, why the paralegal service is differentiated from the services that are provided by civil society organizations, because I believe that they really work together. So you would probably, if you look at that portion of CSOs and paralegals, you'll probably see that they give the highest portion of legal aid services to the country. So if that is the case, then what should we be able to do to ensure that the services that are providing are sustainable and are not depending on donor funding? And what I did is I looked at the government allocation to the justice sector in Tanzania for the last financial year. And what I saw is that it was 125 billion Tanzania shillings, around 175 million US dollars. And this is money that goes to various institutions that we saw here in the morning. So the question we should be asking, and maybe that the ministry, as we start thinking about sustainability measures, is to ask, where is the 175 billion shillings going to? What proportion of that money is reaching these people who are here, who are supporting legal aid provision at the local level? That is one question. Because when we question where we put our resources, then the question you ask Mkurugenzi in terms of tax and non-tax money, I believe that that allocation is mostly tax money. We can be able to ask, at the end of the day, what is then the service that is supposed to be provided? Where is our money going to, and how can we ensure we allocate it in a manner that it reaches watu mashinani, the grassroots people, and it enables them to provide services? That is number one. Let us assess where our money is going to. Because at the end of the day, LSF has money, a fund, but that money is largely supported by donors. We all know the context now of development aid, that it is shrinking, whereas the government of Tanzania increased its allocation to the justice sector by 85%, if I'm not mistaken. They said there was an 85% increase. So while donor money is going down, Tanzania has increased its own resources that is allocating to the legal sector. So we are not going to look at practices from somewhere. We are going to ask ourselves, if we are able to increase resources to the justice sector by 85%, while we know that Lulu and other people will be struggling to be able to mobilize resources, then the government needs to think at mechanisms of ensuring that that increased allocation is reaching people. My second point is this, in terms of sustainability. What are we really doing when we speak about legal aid services? And I saw kwa takwimu, you are saying people are speaking about awareness creation, getting training and capacity building. And I'll be looking here because the challenge that I give my colleagues internally at TNDP is asking, what proportion of money is making that lady whose child has been raped to get justice? At the end of the day, it's not that we attended a training. At the end of the day, that lady wants to see that there is justice, prosecution is done, and their child gets the right, they can be able to get justice. If somebody has lost their land, they want to be able to see that they can be able to get their land back. So a sustainable measure that I would like us to think about is, where are we taking our money? What are the results that we are getting from legal aid services? What proportion of money is going to actual service delivery? And in legal aid, it is basically that somebody, like Lulu said, somebody feels that they have been aggrieved and eventually they are getting justice. So the service you're talking about here is ensuring that people get justice. So we can go to many workshops and seminars and put a lot of money on those things. But that is why probably a triangulation of your study, Mkurugenzi, is to be able to find, actually, when we speak about legal aid service, what does it really mean to the people? When you say that a lot of people are not aware of legal aid service providers, we want to see that money, we've done enough workshops. Let us ask ourselves, where are we putting our money? Third and last point. There are structures that people relate to at the local level. And in many countries in Africa, you'll find that our traditional local systems have proven to be working. And Takwimi is also telling us that. So when we are speaking about sustainable services, wazee wetu, akina mama wetu in the villages provide these services and people trust them. But to what extent are we giving kipaumbele to strengthening those systems and structure that Tanzania already has at the local level that people trust, but that probably have gaps here and there in terms of the priority issues that they would be able to address and how they would address them. So a sustainable mechanism is that if our paralegals can work with the local structures that are there, alternative dispute resolution, you call it, or other terms that we can be able to have, and resources are allocated to those people. And it is not about money. It is about facilitating these people to be able to move to provide services. You talk about 2 hours. Can we reduce those hours that people are taking to be able to access services as government? So, I decided to think differently and not just to think about what are the best practices, but based on what you said, on the alternatives that are there, how can we be able to strengthen what we already have? Asante sana, Lulu.
Asante sana, Joyce.